Pressure kills creativity. I say this in almost every video and podcast that I've ever done. And I feel like people don't understand what I'm saying when I mean pressure. Pressure doesn't mean you're just walking forward on your opponent. Pressure can also mean you are controlling the ring. Today, we're going to talk about some things that'll help you pressure your opponent and why it's so important. But first, Bob doesn't have any feet, so I'm going to have to get a little bit creative here. We're going to say these are his feet, right? Or this one right here, this one right here. This is going to be his lead foot. And why am I putting these on the floor? We have a very specific reason that we're doing this here. And we're just going to imagine that these are his feet, right? This is his foot positioning. And in a video about pressure, why would I be talking about foot positioning first? Well, I'm going to give you a couple examples of how to pressure your opponent based on their stance. So this would be an orthodox stance for Bob, right? He has his left foot forward and his rear foot back, and he has this hand up. So if I am in the orthodox position as well, I can put my foot parallel with his foot. That's how whenever Bob's lead foot is forward and I'm in orthodox stance as well, I can get closer to him. I can strike him from a closer distance. Right? And that's because I can put my foot closer to his body. Now let's switch to the southpaw position here. If we have both of our lead foot forward, now it's going to be a battle of the lead hand and most importantly, the lead foot. Now if you've heard a couple of things about boxing, if you've taken a couple lessons, you know to put your lead foot on the outside of your opponent's lead foot. Now I feel like that's about as far as the understanding goes. You don't really know why they say to do this. You can do it on the inside too, but why is that wrong? Well, you're putting yourself right in the danger of that right hand here. So you don't want to do that. Why would you want to go on the outside? Because it lines up your power shot. Now I talk about this in a pressure video because, take a guess right now, how would you want to pressure your opponent? Would you want to pressure them from here or would you want to pressure them from here? Well, there is no wrong answer, but my answer for this video to most effectively pressure your opponent is to stay in the orthodox position. And why do I say this? If you're trying to pressure your opponent, you're probably smaller, or you're either shorter or you're smaller as in weight. You're smaller weight. So if you're able to get closer to your opponent, then you are going to be able to pressure them more effectively. Now, what is this like? Why is this better? It's because you're closer. Now, say you're in the middle of the ring or the octagon, wherever you are. Why would you want to be in southpaw position? Because they have a longer range. Now you can kind of nullify this range by stepping on the outside and lining up your hard punches, because now you can get on the outside and now they can't hit you because you are on the outside of them, right? Try to hit somebody when they're on this side of you. You're going to have to turn, and that's whenever knockouts happen, you turn into punches, right? So if you're in the middle of the octagon, you should probably be southpaw. That's the best way to pressure if you're the shorter fighter. You get on the outside and you line up this shot. But once you get them closer to whatever barrier you're fighting against, I recommend you put this lead foot next to their lead foot because you are closer to your opponent. If you're further away, you have to line up this shot, but if you're closer, you can pressure your opponent, you can use body shots. Where if I'm in southpaw position here, it's harder to line up these body shots because I'm kind of running myself right into their power hand and I have to get on the outside. But if I'm here, I can set up both body shots and head shots. Now I'm at my range. So if I'm at my range here, I can still use body shots. I can still use leg kicks. I can still use the right hand, left hand, the jab. But if I'm here, now, if I'm trying to jab from here, I have to fight this lead hand. That's why it's a battle of the lead hand. It's right here. So I have to go in and I have to beat his jab. But if you're here, now I can pressure easier. I can slip. And the main thing about this, you have to have good defense in order to pressure your opponent. You don't want to end up getting punched in the face while moving forward. That's how people get knocked out. But the main thing here is getting close enough to your opponent. And I feel like people don't talk about this space between your feet, because think about it. If I can't get close to you, I can't hit you. I made another video about this called finding your range. And I thought, how are you gonna find your range if you don't know about stance and position? So let's go back to, once you get them close to whatever barrier you're fighting against, I'd say getting the orthodox position to them. Meaning your lead foot is in line with their lead foot. That way you can set up punches easier. Right, because I'm closer. And if I try to set that up from here, I gotta battle the lead foot. And more importantly, I give them a chance to escape. Whereas if I'm in the orthodox position, I can cut off the ring this way, and I can cut off the ring this way. How? Because they won't have as much space this way. I can set them up with the left hook here, right? If they try to move this way. If they try to move the other way, I can set them up with that right hand. I step on the outside, and I position my lead foot. And now I have enough range. Even if you're a smaller opponent, now you're here, you can reach them, right? So it's most important whenever you're here to cut off the ring, right? Don't let them go this way, and don't let them go this way. So I set up these body shots. Now he's not going this way, right? Left hook, the same, whatever the same side is, they won't want to go that side if you're setting up leg kicks, body kicks, hooks to the body, even the jab to the body. They won't want to go this way. But if you're moving this way too, now you're leaving an opening. If I move this way, now I'm leaving an opening this way. So cutting off the ring, right? I have to stay with this lead foot and stay square to my opponent. So look, if I have both of these are his feet, right? I need to keep my feet lined up with his. Once I start going this way, I'm leaving an opening this way. Once I go this way, I'm leaving an opening this way. So staying square, even if he moves his position, right? Say we move, even if he's in this position, now I need to stay squared with him. And that's why I said with southpaw, it's harder to cut off now. It's still possible, but this, I'm gonna have to set him up here. It's all about the range now. It's all about getting on the outside. But the pressure most effectively, you have to stay, I'd say, mostly an orthodox and a squared stance. Whenever you're southpaw, now I'm giving him an exit right here, right? So we've talked about the lead foot enough. I think I'll make a whole nother video about stance, but let's get into pressuring your opponent. What's some good ways to pressure your opponent? If you are feinting, right? So say I'm moving around, I'm moving my head a lot, I'm getting in close, you know, I'm just finding my range. It's a lot better than if I'm just standing still, right? If I'm standing still, if I'm moving back, you're not gonna be as creative. I always say this. So try your favorite combos moving forward, right? You'll have a lot of success. Now try the same combos while moving backwards. You won't have as much success because you are limiting your strikes. You're limiting your movement. You're moving backwards while you're striking. Like a head kick, for example. Say if I want to go for a head kick here, I can head kick them real easily. But if I'm moving back, I'm off balance now, and it just makes everything a little bit more complicated. This is why I always say pressure kills creativity. If I'm pressuring him, right? If I'm not, it doesn't mean that I'm always right here. I'm always striking, right? I don't mean this kind of pressure. This isn't the kind of pressure I mean. Whenever you're pressuring somebody, you can not be moving and still be pressuring them. Now, what does this mean? I'll give you an example. Yoel Romero, he'll just stand in front of somebody and he is still pressuring them. Even though he's not moving forward, he can just stand still and still pressure them. Why? Because he's in the middle of the ring and he's cutting it off. So pressuring your opponent doesn't mean you're always going forward, always striking, moving, taking angles. Sometimes pressure can be as simple as just standing still and taking up space. Scared of, and that's how they let somebody else dictate the pace. They don't want to get pressure, they don't want to get hit, so you know, they just end up backing up. But you have to keep your hands up. Not only that, you got to parry, you got to slip. And this is why it's dangerous to pressure your opponent. You're moving yourself into punches. But I mean, if you're not trying to win a fight, you're not gonna win the fight, right? So pressuring, it's not only defense, it's also feints. I need to be moving and actively thinking, where am I gonna go, right? This is gonna make them less creative. If I'm setting up, say I'm setting up this jab, right? And then I start slipping and moving like this, he's gonna think this jab's coming. And then, to the body. You know, slap it in there real quick. See, these are things that you can do to pressure your opponent more effectively is to set up traps, set up feints, move like this, throw the right hand a couple times to the body, and then throw the body kick or throw the leg kick. It's just pressure isn't as like meathead, I see red mentality as people see it out to be. You know, it's not just moving forward and throwing punches. It's all about where you're standing and what position you're in. But anyway, guys, I think this video's gone long enough. I'll make a part 2 on this eventually. And like I said, guys, pressure kills creativity. Doesn't mean you have to be walking them down. It could just be you are taking up space more effectively and placing your shots more accurately. But thank you guys for watching. Check out the Punch Podcast. And if you want to suggest something in the comments, I'll probably make a video about it. Yeah, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.